Your children's favorite cartoons may not be as cheery and happy as you think. We are about to delve into characters that seem harmless on the surface but hide dark secrets beneath, and take a look at some of the cartoon world's most threatening evils. While children may not entirely comprehend these dark traits, adults might ponder the deeper meanings woven into these characters. From Casper to Eeyore to him, we will make some eye-opening revelations as we unmask the shrouded faces of 20 kids' cartoon characters and unveil their dark backstories and qualities. So let's begin. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Can I join your friendship club?
Casper has appeared in comic books, cartoon series, and films, where he was a tame ghost who loved to make friends. The earlier versions didn't reveal much about how he became a ghost. Casper's past is unveiled in the film Casper, where Casper suggests that he was playing in the snow and caught a cold which gave him pneumonia. Unfortunately, he couldn't be cured and died at the young age of 12, but Casper didn't want his widowed father to be alone and decided to stay on as a ghost. Casper's story is rather depressing. Although much isn't said about his mother, it is assumed that she died in childbirth, leaving Casper's father to raise the child as a single parent. Casper's father, as we know, is trying to build a machine that will bring his dead son back to life. Meanwhile, Casper falls for Cat, a feeling that he couldn't explore as a kid and can only long for as a ghost. Casper also has 3 ghost uncles, who, as it turns out, are not really his family, but more like uncles in the spirit realm. These uncles make Casper do their odd jobs and try to teach him to scare people off instead of being friendly. It's almost as if they treat him like their slave, and poor Casper has no choice but to accept his uncle's orders. So underneath all that friendly demeanor, Casper's story is filled with tragedies.
I have 4 young wards nicknamed me Splinter, for obvious reasons.
Splinter, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The Ninja Rat, who plays the adoptive father to our favorite turtles, has a catastrophic backstory. Splinter was born as a human in Japan in the famous Hamato clan. His human name was Hamato Yoshi, and he was adept in martial arts. His adopted brother Saki and he didn't really get along, and when they fall for the same girl, Tangshen, things go from bad to worse. In the battle between Saki and Yoshi, Saki is gaining the upper hand due to his sharp-clawed weapon, but Shen, who chose to be with Yoshi, sacrifices herself to save Yoshi. Yoshi then came to New York, where he decided to get himself 4 turtles as companions to fill the void of his lonely life. Unfortunately, he encounters Krang's villainous members, who are in possession of mutagen canisters. During the fight, the canisters break, and Yoshi and the turtles come in contact with the serum, turning Yoshi into a human-like rat, and the turtles into their mutant humanoid form. And what can be more tragic than changing from a human to a rat? Yoshi adopted the name Splinter and fathered the 4 turtles. The gang was forced to live in the sewers of New York to keep their identities hidden from humans. So Splinter lost the love of his life and his home, turned into a rat, and is now forced to take responsibility of teenage turtles. And we all know how tough teens are. Chuckie Finster, Rugrats. Chuckie Finster is Rugrats' second protagonist and the lead Tommy's best buddy. The 2-year-old is a cowardly child trying to step away from anything too dangerous, only to follow Tommy into mysterious shenanigans. Chuckie often comes out of situations braver than before, but his character is mainly a pessimist. But this cute little face has a painful past when it comes to his mother. In a Mother's Day special episode, Chuckie's father finally talks to him about his mother and tells him of her favorite things. He also shows Chuckie a sad poem that his mother wrote for him when she was in the hospital. The poem talks about how she will not be around, but little Chuckie can find her in the flowers, trees, clouds, and everywhere around. Little is revealed about how his mother died, but it seems that when the series began, she had been dead for a year already. And as in the case of most toddlers, Chuckie's memories of his mother fade away. This leads him to contemplate her existence, for he begins to think of her as a dream. Chuckie clearly hasn't had it easy. His father got his eyes tested because Chuckie would watch television while sitting too close to the screen and also kept knocking into things. And that's why Chuckie is seen wearing those thick glasses.
I don't need to practice.
Practice makes perfect, Smurfette.
Practice makes fun.
Smurfette, the Smurfs. The blonde, attractive female Smurf, who the male Smurfs fight over, wasn't always this pretty. In fact, Smurfette was a spy created by Gargamel, the evil magician who hates the Smurfs. Smurfette had black hair and the villagers disliked her. Smurfette's verbose and dominating nature was not well received by the other Smurfs in the village when she first arrived there. They unwittingly decided to ostracize her by making her think of herself as obese. Smurfette wanted nothing more than to be accepted by the others in the village, and when they poked fun at her, she was depressed. That's when Papa Smurf stepped in and did a magical surgery, calling it plastic smurfery, to transform Smurfette into the attractive blue Smurf that we all know her to be. Even the color of her hair changed to blonde, but little did Papa Smurf know that he was empowering the enemy. Now Smurfette had the entire village fighting over her. She even floods the village, forcing Poet to open the dam. Smurfette was eventually on trial for being Gargamel's pawn, only for the villagers to find her not guilty. But Smurfette had changed her ways by then, and she grew tired of the other Smurfs bickering over her. She left the village, promising to return when the others learned to live in peace. So, is Smurfette the victim here or the villain's emissary? Should we be sympathizing with her or not? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
They call me the Ice King. I also make ice.
Ice King, Adventure Time. Simon Petrikov, aka the Ice King, is the primary antagonist in the Adventure Time series. His powers are a boon and a curse of the crown he dons. So, why did Simon choose to wear the crown? Let's look at the tragic backstory of this villain. Simon was a simple bloke who studied ancient artifacts and was an archaeologist. In one such quest, he came to possess a bejeweled crown from a Scandinavian dock worker. Simon suffered a blackout when he put on the crown to make his fiancée Betty laugh. Simon started seeing illusions, but when the crown was off his head, he couldn't remember anything that he did, but it scared his fiancée away. Simon then started facing the side effects of this crown with delusions and physical transformations. His hair and beard grew long and white, his skin color changed to a pale blue, and his body temperature dropped drastically, despite not wearing the crown again. He then met Marceline, a small demon girl whose mother had abandoned her. He still had some part of the kind-hearted Simon left in him as he started fathering Marceline. As his bond with Marceline grew, Simon began to wear the crown to protect her from danger. Each time he donned it, he lost a little bit of himself. Slowly, he lost his mind and transformed into the Ice King. His need to get back with Betty manifested in his search for princesses, making him the tragic villainous evil of Adventure Time.
Cubone, Phone Club, now!
Cubone, Pokemon. Cubone is a small Pokemon resembling a tiny dinosaur. He mainly distrusts everyone around him except Mr. Fuji, who had rescued him. But Cubone's distrust stems from a childhood trauma caused by his mother's death. Cubone's mother was a Marowak. Once when mother and child were busy, the grunts from Team Rocket attacked them. They intended to kidnap a Pokemon, but Marowak sacrificed herself to allow her kid to escape. The grunts killed Marowak, a sight witnessed by Cubone. The ordeal of losing his mother made Cubone doubt everyone around him, and he began to keep his distance from others. It's one of the reasons why he is often referred to as the lonely Pokemon. Cubone also wears his mother's skull as a helmet, which he refuses to take off. On days he misses his mother the most, especially when he visualizes Marowak's face in the full moon, he cries painfully, making the skull rattle. Cubone's backstory is definitely a heartbreaking one, but kids may never fully comprehend the pain he feels as adults can. The cute little Pokemon's depressing past has left a mark on the fans and made him a memorable character.
Anita, darling, how are you? Miserable, darling, as usual, perfectly wretched.
Cruella de Vil, 101 Dalmatians. Cruella de Vil, the puppy killer, is equally hated by kids and adults. She's every dog lover's nightmare and as dark as it gets. Cruella has been a menace even as a child. Her pampered nature was only fueled further by her doting husband, who was ready to give her anything she wanted. Cruella is obsessed with everything fur, which is why we always see her with her famous mink fur coat. Once this fashionista sets her eyes on something she wants, she can go to any extent to get it. We have seen her go after 101 Dalmatians just so she can get herself another white fur coat with black spots. Cruella pulled all the stops to get these pups, from kidnapping puppies to causing rifts in the Dearly's marriage to outright buying puppies. She is sinister in plotting evil doings to get what she needs, and is often rude and thoughtless about other people's needs. Cruella is also very straightforward about why she needs the puppies, without considering that others may find it wrong. For a kid's cartoon character, Cruella is certainly pure evil and as dark as it gets.
You have a visitor. Oh, hi.
Creepy-eyed girl, Dexter's Laboratory. From dog-obsessed humans, we move to human-obsessed individuals. We are talking about the creepy-eyed girl who appeared in an episode of Dexter's Laboratory and left a memorable mark on fans. The Eyes episode showed a little girl with enormous, almost puppy eyes who had no name and hence was dubbed the creepy-eyed girl. Dexter sees the girl drop her bunny and chases after her to return it. The girl falls in love with Dexter and follows him wherever he goes, from school to home and all the way to his lab. Creepy-eyed girl was shown with hearts pulsing in her eyes to show that she was madly in love, almost to the point of being obsessed with Dexter. Dexter tries to repeatedly disregard her and tries to hide from her, but creepy-eyed girl became a menace and bullied Dexter so that if he didn't become her boyfriend, she would expose the whereabouts of a secret lab to everyone. The creepy-eyed girl's character might have been funny for kids, but in reality, it highlighted issues of people having obsessive and borderline threatening behavior. Moreover, it also nailed the topic of knowing one's boundaries and invading someone's private space. As to whether or not the kids got this message, we leave that for you to discuss in the comments.
But you were never my father.
Raven, Teen Titans. Talking about dark backstories, Raven, one of the primary Teen Titans characters, indeed has a murky past, making her an ominous person. Raven's mom, Angela Roth, was a rebellious woman and often reckless. Having left her home, she inadvertently joined a cult. The cult chose her to be the bride of Satan and summoned Trigon. Angela, being a poor judge of things she couldn't do, agreed to mate with the good-looking bloke who emerged from the satanic ritual smoke. But the guy soon took on his real avatar of a four-eyed, horned monster, forced himself on Angela and impregnated her. Angela ran away from the cult and was taken in by people from another dimension called Azarath, where Raven was born. Raven was a half-demon and was unable to fit in with the people of Azarath. She decided to find her father and summoned him. Trigon destroyed Azarath along with Raven's mother. Raven, however, was spared because Trigon wanted a portal to travel to Earth and destroy it. Raven has darkness in her, which she constantly tries to conquer and allows the good in her to prevail. Her threateningly dark personality evidently is a result of her origin and past, yet she remains a fan favorite among cartoon lovers. Ghostfreak, Ben 10. Ghostfreak is an alien avatar that Ben often takes over to fight evil, but little did Ben know that Ghostfreak isn't all that good himself. Ben 10 is famous for his watch-like device called Omnitrix, which contains the DNA of aliens around the Omniverse. Ben uses the DNA to merge with his own and transform into these alien beings when facing challenges. He turns into Ghostfreak a number of times before the alien begins to haunt Ben. Ghostfreak is an ectonorite, a phantom-like creature from the planet Anarphatos. He claims to be accidentally trapped in the Omnitrix and commands Ben to set him free. Ghostfreak is as scary as the name suggests. He is gaseous in form and he's cloaked in white from head to toe. He keeps floating in the air without feet and has only one bright pink eye. Ghostfreak can take off the outer layer of his skin to reveal the grotesque monster that lies hidden underneath. The monster Ghostfreak has sharp claws for fingers, black and white striped tentacles protruding from his chest, and his face is like a skull that's upside down. He managed to escape the Omnitrix and unleashed himself on Ben. Ghostfreak is as sinister as freaky ghosts can get, and can make kids wonder why Ben would choose to transform into such an evil being.
That's brilliant! Oh, Mr. Quackers, you are so smart.
Him, the Powerpuff Girls. The famous cartoon Powerpuff Girls showed 3 young superheroines fighting monsters in their city. One of their biggest adversaries was Him, who brought evil with style. Him's character broke gender typecasts by being a hermaphrodite, and he was not afraid to wear those spiked heels. Him was always sinister and often gave a tough fight to the Powerpuff Girls. But for a kid's cartoon, Him's character and dress probably were subtle hints at his sexuality and could escape children's understanding. Him was seen wearing a woman's red jacket, which had pink frills at the collar and the bottom hem. He had sharp lime green eyes, a curved nose, and elfish ears with a receding hairline like a widow's peak. He also sported a beard and could manipulate his voice to different scales. And who could forget his huge claws resembling those of a lobster? Him was referred to as the King of Darkness, who was vile, and his name strikes fear in the hearts of people. Him often played psychological tricks on the Powerpuff Girls, often trying to bid them against each other. He could possess objects, transform into a monstrous form of himself, and is noted to be one of the worst evils that Powerpuff Girls have had to fight. Moreover, his malicious behavior had no root cause. He just loved spreading hatred and enjoyed watching the girls maneuver through tough spots. What would you say about a character like that in a kid's TV show?
That is not coffee.
That's just great.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz, Phineas and Ferb. We all know the wicked scientist Dr. Doofenshmirtz, but did you know that Doofenshmirtz had an abusive and super depressing past? Doofenshmirtz was born to parents who, funnily enough, didn't show up at his birth. It was the doc's way of saying his parents abandoned him briefly at birth. They often disregarded his presence or abused him by treating him like a joke. They made him act like a garden gnome once and also forced him to wear girls' dresses. Doofenshmirtz talks about how he threw himself a surprise birthday party once, but he was there with his toys as he had no real friends. He was also bullied wherever he went. Doofenshmirtz made a face on a balloon and sprayed it with lifelong lasting spray. The balloon became his best friend. On more than one occasion, although with hilarious undertones, Doofenshmirtz has revealed his depressing backstory. So much so that every time his past was delved into, it had melancholy music in the background. Doofenshmirtz is evil, but his plans are always doomed to fail. But we know that his hatred for the world resulted from his terrible childhood. And though his early life is showcased on a lighter note to befit a kid's cartoon show, it's still dark and unfortunate.
Pitch nerve.
Kronk, it's me.
Wow. All right, then who am I?
You're Kronk.
Yzma, the Emperor's new school. Is she a mad scientist, a vile advisor, or a deadly combination of the two? In the movie, The Emperor's New Groove, Yzma plays advisor to Emperor Kuzco, but he fires her for her cruel and unruly ways. Yzma, in her vengeful state, decides to formulate a potion to kill him. She also aims to sit on the throne someday and rule the empire. Yzma's character was dressed in purple and black, supporting her dark nature. She comes across as an old lady, though no one knows her actual age, but it's surprisingly agile for it. She has a secret lab where she concocts not just a cache of potions, but also evil plans to murder Kuzco. Her first plan, which she reveals to her trusted henchman Kronk, is to turn Kuzco into a small flea, trap him in a small box, and then a bigger one, and then mail that package to herself. She would then take a mallet to the box and crush Kuzco in his flea form. But then she decides against it to save on postage and opts for poison instead. Yzma's ways are malicious and cunning, yet eccentric. She has a funny side to her as well, whether it's Kronk pulling the wrong lever to drop Yzma in a river full of crocodiles, or her falling in mud after getting attacked by bees. The funny moments take her wickedness down a notch, but she's still a nightmare for Kuzco for trying to kill him in more ways than one.
Please, don't go! You can keep your dirty money!
Mandy, the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy. She can trick the Grim Reaper into sparing lives. Mandy is a straight-faced girl and Billy's friend. Sarcasm is her niche, and she's clearly not afraid of anything. But Mandy's character is not all chirpy. In fact, she is often cynical and ruthless, yet extremely intelligent. Mandy's character is so dark that she has tasted the vortex of pure evil coming out of Billy's floor, and went for a second serving. Mandy has never smiled since the time she was in her mother's womb, and her parents are afraid afraid of her vile nature. She is sinister in many ways, and she consistently aspires to take over the world. Mandy is cruel and shifts between being an antagonist and an anti-hero. Yet when her friend Billy gets himself into trouble, she's there to save him. For Mandy, Billy and Grim are her most trusted allies, though she rarely admits it, and she would be lost without them. Mandy also has her fears. She is afraid of figure skaters, which she desperately tries to hide. Also, she fears that she will transition into a kind, ugly, and chubby woman when she grows up. Well, clearly, someone who's afraid of being kind might not seem like a role model for kids, yet Mandy has her fan following for her blunt mannerisms. What's your take on Mandy? Share in the comments below.
Welcome.
Ko the Face Stealer from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Show no fear, show no emotion at all, or Ko will take away your face. In Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Avatar is searching for the moon and ocean and comes to Ko for help. Roku warns the Avatar that Ko is very dangerous and is known as the Face Stealer, but one can fully comprehend Roku's warning only when they see Ko. Ko is a spirit who appears to have a centipede-like body. At the head is an opening, almost like a mouth from where a face juts out. Ko has a raspy voice, which gives him an intimidating persona. So when the Avatar meets Ko, Ko crawls towards him with a feminine face, which suddenly changes into a man's face. This is when you realize why Ko is called the Face Stealer. He steals the faces of people who show the slightest emotion and embellishes his own with them. Ko continuously circles around the Avatar, trying to find one weak moment on the latter's face. Ko changes his face one after the other just by blinking, and even tries to strike fear by adopting a monstrous face to scare the Avatar. Ko is undoubtedly an evil spirit, but he's highly intelligent, and he also helps the Avatar figure out where to find the moon and the ocean. He has an overwhelming personality that can even frighten the viewers as they watch him go round and round his prey, making Ko one of the darkest characters in a kid's cartoon.
What are we doing? We should all be panicking! Ah! The sky's falling! The sky's falling! Duck and cover! Duck and...
Stitch. Lilo and Stitch the series. Stitch was a result of an illegal genetic experiment by a mad scientist on an alien planet. The scientists made Stitch bulletproof, fireproof, and capable of thinking faster than a supercomputer. Stitch could see in the dark and possessed super strength too. But more importantly, his primary instinct was to destroy everything he laid his hands on. Well, this character can't get any darker than that. Stitch was a short blue alien with 4 arms and 2 feet. He had long ears, large eyes, and extremely sharp and fearsome teeth. He had antennas popping out of his head and 3 porcupine-like spikes protruding from his back. He could alter his body, although in a limited capacity, which he used to try to resemble a dog. Stitch was ordered to live in solitude on a deserted planet, but he escaped and reached Earth. He then met Lilo, who Stitch decided to use as a shield against his captors. But Lilo taught him to change his cruel ways and see the good in people, which Stitch showed no inkling of previously. However, Stitch has been vile for most of his life, and given the fact that instincts are difficult to control, he can be a constant danger to those around him. Yet Stitch is adored by kids and adults alike, and is one of the favorite cartoon characters among fans. We sure hope we never see him turn into the monster he is set out to be.
Butch, is that you? What happened to your hair? Had me a scare. Scared Alexa what you kids will never know. Tell us about it, Butch.
Butch, Recess. If there's someone who knows how to tell kids a scary story, it's Butch. Butch is a kid who studies with the protagonists of Recess at 3rd Street School. He was a normal kid earlier, but changed into a dark, gloomy kid when he saw his older brother kiss a girl. From then on, his brown hair changed and developed a white streak, and he started lurking in the shadows. Although Butch isn't one of the main characters, he is often the catalyst who leads the story. Butch is always seen chewing on a toothpick from the side of his mouth, wearing a black jacket and blue jeans. He poses like a cool dude, gathering the other kids from school and delving into a story. It seems almost as if he likes the art of storytelling and watching the scared looks on kids' faces. Butch comes across as a lonely, weird kid who is always standing alone in the corner, making snarky comments. But he's always willing to help his friends, even though it is in a dark storytelling manner, and his friends always trust whatever he says. Would you trust a guy like Butch if you were to encounter him? Let us know what you think about it in the comments.
You're not Tigger?
Nope, I'm Eeyore. Aren't I popular?
But
Eeyore, The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. The forever unhappy donkey is Winnie the Pooh's gloomiest character. Eeyore is never happy about anything. Even when Eeyore gets a new tail, he tells Pooh that he isn't happy but likes the tail. Eeyore often has a pessimistic and self-pitying approach where he's ready to give up and claim that his life will always be that way. Eeyore is Christopher Robin's stuffed donkey with a highly negative approach to life. When he rebuilds his house with logs, he says that it's not much of a house, but he wasn't much of a donkey either. No one actually knows the reason behind Eeyore's sad nature. Eeyore is a trustworthy friend who has often stayed true to his friends' expectations. He is also astute and kind-hearted, but he's always looking for reasons to stay in his sad state of affairs. Eeyore considers himself a gloomy person whom no one likes to be around and has very low self-esteem. Eeyore is certainly too depressing a character for kids' cartoons, yet he's a popular one. While some theories claim that Eeyore has mental health issues, primarily depression, others think that he's just a lonely donkey. Let us know your take on why Eeyore might be a sad, gloomy character.
If you need anything else, I'll be in my quarters.
Hans girl. Well done.
Huntsman, American Dragon, Jake Long. One of the most ruthless antagonists in the American Dragon Jake Long series is Huntsman, or Huntsmaster as he's often called. Huntsman's primary agenda is to kill any magical creature he encounters. He has a special hatred towards dragons, and hence Jake has become his archenemy. Huntsman's face is rarely shown in the series, and the secrecy of what lies behind the wolf-like skull helmet only adds to his terrifying demeanor. He wears a black hood underneath the helmet that covers most of his face, leaving only a gap for his bright, glowing red eyes. He carries a staff that gives him almost mystical powers like teleportation. Huntsman's past is unknown, but it seems like he had a traumatic life. He has a birthmark of a humongous dragon that spreads across his torso and face. As it turns out, every member of the Hunts clan has a dragon birthmark somewhere on their body, marking them as one of the clan members. The mark was what made the Huntsman abduct his apprentice, Huntsgirl, when she was a baby. This eerie villain has super strength and can kick ass in combat. Killing cold-bloodedly was his calling card, and he has had no moral compass to guide him otherwise.
I am Mozenrath, Lord of the Black Sand.
Mozenrath from Aladdin. Mozenrath is Aladdin's arch-nemesis and a more significant threat to the kingdom than Jafar. Mozenrath can go to the extent of endangering himself physically if it means he gains more power. He displays psychotic attributes of a villainous nature by taking pride in his sadistic ways. He is outright cruel and one of the most potent enemies that Aladdin has faced. He is a sorcerer with tremendous powers and treads towards necromancy to accomplish his work. Mozenrath is so powerful that he has held Genie captive and even tried to take control of his powers. He is dressed in rich black and purple robes and is the stark opposite of Aladdin. He is physically weak because of a gauntlet taking a toll on him while granting him powers. He wears the gauntlet on his right hand, and the skin underneath rotted away, leaving only the skeletal form behind. But that was the sacrifice Mozenrath happily made. Mozenrath is vile to the core. He is power-hungry and is willing to go to great lengths to bring the whole world kneeling at his feet. He is also very intelligent, but uses his smarts to meticulously plan his foul moves without caring about how many bodies he leaves behind. Mozenrath is undoubtedly a mighty and dark force plotting his nasty tricks in a kids' cartoon show. And that brings us to the end of the 20 darkest kids' cartoon characters. Each one of these icons has an enigmatic past that adds to their personalities, but is kept layered to ensure it doesn't impact the kids negatively. We want to know what you think about these characters and if you have any favorites among them. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to show your support by liking this button and sharing the video with others. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.